What's going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock. We're going to talk about the command grab from Abigail today, known as Abigail's Smash. So, the command grab itself is 6 frames of startup, there's 2 frames of vulnerability in Street Fighter 5, so at best you can be +4, and +3 works as well, and that's the value that where your opponent can't match out. So, for example, with a 3-frame normal. For example, Ed's standing light kick is 3 frames, so if I do my standing light kick into command grab, if I do it immediately, you will not be able to use a 3 frame. So that's one of the ways you can get to the throw itself. This also applies for when the opponent gets off the ground. They also have 2 frames of vulnerability, so you want to be at a +4 advantage or +3 advantage state to command grab characters who are mashing on their 3-frame normal. And +2 will also work for characters who don't have a 3 frame, because then it'll happen at the same time, and throws out prioritize normal. So I want to talk about the command grab itself, not just how you get to do it. It is 6 frames of startup. It does decent amount of damage. You don't really have much Okizemi after this happens. So if you want to take a look, we want to take a look at the old calculator. We can look at the Abigail Smash itself. Now this is again command grabs. I said again like I said it first, right? Like I've already said it. Command grabs don't have a back recovery, so you're either gonna normal recover or no recover. So that's why you see these two numbers are the same, 24 and 24. That's how long they are on the ground. Now, if you dash up, your dash is 25 frames total. So if you dash up, that means you're at a -1 state. This is like 5 frames away from where we want to be, right? We want to be at +4 or +3. So if we do this, if we command grab and then dash up, our opponent actually has, they have advantage. So dashing up is not really the way to go if you want to continue pressure. Really, there's not really pressure at all. If your opponent stays on the ground, if they don't recover, then yeah, you can probably do something. You can probably get up. But your opponent should always recover. So you'll be at a -1 state. And unless you do something crazy, like you do command grab and then dash up parry, that kind of thing, which puts you at it's very risky to do this, because you'll be at a crush counter state. Then you really don't have much off of that. Unless you're in the corner where you don't have to dash up at all with your command grab. So right here, I don't need to dash. I don't need to dash to be in close. So I still have normal to pressure. I can use crouching fears into light punch Abigail, or excuse me, giant flip, that kind of thing. I can do those kinds of things. But otherwise, if you're not in the position where you have your opponent in the corner, the command grab, it pretty much ends your offense. So this is fine if your opponent's stun is high, and then your command grab will stun them, because the knockdown doesn't matter. They're just going to be in a vulnerable state with their stun animation. So I want to talk more about the EX command grab, the EX Abigail Smash. Now this is very, very interesting for me. It has just as much range as the light kick command grab. Yeah, and the ranges for his command grab actually change. The roundhouse has the least amount of distance. The light kick has the most, but it also does the least amount of damage. So they're inverse to their distance and damage. So light kick will give you the most reach. So if I do this, well, I guess it will work. With roundhouse, really? That works? I think it's because he went into me, yeah. Okay. So the light kick will only work from this range. But the EX also has the same amount of distance as the light kick version. So if I do vroom vroom into EX, this will work, right? I need to be a little bit closer. There we go. That's going to be in range. But the roundhouse was not. So that proves that the distance is different. Now, the other significant difference between the regular command grab and the EX command grab is that you have follow-ups. They hit the wall, and you're able to hit them in this position. And there's quite a few things you can do here. You can do, and we'll talk about 3 things for now, because it's really the only 3 things I'm really I feel are valuable. So the first thing that you saw was just a damaging combo: crouching fierce, crouching hard punch, into hard punch Abigail punch. Now I've discussed before how the knockdowns for Abigail, most of them, if you back recover, he's very weak in terms of his options. So if I do this crouching hard punch into hard punch Abigail punch, it even increases the time that I have to approach my opponent while they're knocked down. But I still have limited options. So, for example, all I really have from this space, from this distance, crouching hard punch. That crouching hard punch will crush kind of them if they're mashing standing short. But maybe even Ed can backdash away. I'm pretty sure he can just backdash, because his backdash is really good. But that's the only thing I can do from here, just crouching hard punch. That's the only thing from that distance. So while the damage is good, if you're in the middle of the screen, the EX command grab and the crouching hard punch is a bit problematic in terms of continuously pressuring your opponent. And you want to stay close to your opponent if you're playing as Abigail, because it's so hard to get there and you gotta do damage, right? You gotta actually hit them. So in the corner, if you're near the corner, this is fine. This is totally fine if you crouching hard punch into hard punch Abigail punch, because now the back recovery doesn't matter in terms of distance. There's nowhere for them to get further away from you. So the back recovery and the normal recovery, it just becomes now it's just reverted back to we're just guessing between the timing difference, the 5-frame timing difference between normal and back recovery. So in that case, if you want to maintain pressure against their back recovery, you can do something else that does less damage but gives you more advantage when you knock them down. So if you want to look, we'll do a damage comparison. Smash, hard punch, Abigail punch, we're looking at 293 and 395. 293, 395. 293 and 395. Now if I do this, 253 and 355. So that's about 40 more damage and about 40 more stun-ish. So we're losing out on 40 damage, but we're also able to continue the pressure on our opponent. So if they back recover, we're now in range of another command grab, right? We can actually be in range for this without even moving around. Well, maybe we do have to walk forward a little bit. And I think the range does depend on how you hit them. Like the later you hit them, maybe now I'll be in range for a command grab. Okay, that's a bit more fair. So the range and the knockdown, how long they're going to be in the air and the ground, is going to change depending on when you hit back fierce. So there is a bit of a problem with not having certainty of how, like what exact frame advantage. It's going to be a range. So if you hit it high, you're going to have more advantage on knockdown. But the point is that you can now deal with their back recovery better. You have more time and you're closer to them to actually handle the situation. So those are two things to consider with the EX command grab. The crouching hard punch ender into hard punch Abigail punch, and the back hard punch ender. So the other two things that I want to talk about is if you have your, well actually we'll go to the safe jump first. So let's say I am in the corner and I want to not follow up but instead switch sides. I just want to jump over them so that I have corner pressure for my opponent. This is a fine decision too. And this is also is a safe jump, maybe not in terms of the frame data, but your opponent, such as like Ryu, their EX reversal will go the wrong way. And like Chun-Li's EX spinning bird, you'll be able to block it in time. I made a video about how when you jump behind Chun-Li's spinning bird kick, EX reversal, it's actually slower from behind. It hits you later than in the front. So that's another reason why that might be a safe jump. So yeah, it's a good tactic, I think, against characters who are extremely defensive that need to be away from you, like Guile, Nash, even Chun-Li. It might be rewarding to do that, but it's a case-by-case basis. You have to really figure out yourself when it is appropriate and when it's not. So I can tell you another way when it's not appropriate is that when you do an EX command grab here, and let's say for example you want to switch sides, very bad idea. Well, maybe you can't even do that because it's not gonna be a safe jump. It's not even switching sides, and you could have just done more damage and keep them in the corner anyway. So for this specific situation, when you have them in the corner, you need to use back hard punch. So you can do back hard punch into medium punch Abigail punch. That's a lot of punches. Or you can do back hard punch into EX, right? EX. Now remember, when you don't mash EX Abigail punch, you get a double meaty if you dash up and hit vroom vroom. This will cover normal and back recovery. Which, by the way, if they normal recover and mash on a crouching normal, it'll force them into a crouching state, and your normal recovery will whiff. This whiffs. The second active frame whiffs on crouching opponents. I didn't make the rules. That's just how it is. So, yeah. Is that it? Yep, back hard punch. Yep. Abigail's command grab. Pretty good. Lots of range, lots of damage. Back recovery, back hard punch. I think that's going to be not like the future, but I think it's an option worth considering when you're mid-range. So that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Any questions, any comments, concerns? If you have any suggestions for videos like these, let me know. And I hope you learned something. Twitch.tv/AutoMattock. Man, I ruined the outro again. I'm AutoMattock.